Sometimes we crave for freedom, freedom devoid of do's and don'ts. But the do's and don'ts are part and parcel of our lives as human beings. When we buy any gadget or machine, the first thing we do is to read the manuals, to check the do's and don'ts, if we want those things to function well, or even not to get damaged. God has given us precious lives, and He does not want our lives to get damaged. And so He gives us His do's and don'ts, the commandments. How would you imagine if there were no traffic rules, if people were allowed to do or to drive the way they wish to? It would be absolute chaos. But that is why we have the rules, to create order. I remember getting my first ticket on the M50 in Dublin. And since then, I've been avoiding that route. Without laws, society will not function well. There will be absolute chaos. And so even the ordering of our spiritual lives, we need laws, we need guides. Not to enslave us, but to make us live responsibly for ourselves and for other people. Jesus came, and in the gospel He proclaims that He has come not to abolish the law that was given to the Jewish people, but He has come in order to complete these laws, to make them fulfilled. The Pharisees and the scribes were much more concerned about following the letters of the law without deeply understanding the spirit of the law. And that is what Jesus came to enlighten them about. They had become like fanatics. And someone describes fanatics as people who have redoubled their efforts but forgotten their goal. They didn't know why they were obeying the commandments. And so Jesus came to teach them and to teach us why we ought to obey the commandments. If they knew why the commandments were to be obeyed, they would not be angry to see someone who has been healed by Jesus on a Sabbath carrying his pallet or mat. They would not be angry seeing Jesus healing on the Sabbath. But because they didn't understand the true spirit of the law, that was why they kept getting angry with Jesus and thinking He had come to turn things upside down. And so He tells them that is not why He came. He came to teach them why the commandments of God are to be obeyed. These must be based on three principles: love of God, love of neighbor, and love of self. If these are the reasons, then we will fulfill the laws and the commandments of God. So Jesus tells us, if our virtue does not go beyond that of the scribes and the Pharisees, then we're yet to be complete. So it is not just about avoiding evil, but also actively doing good. And these things are stated especially in the book of the prophet Isaiah in chapter 1, when he says, cease to do evil, learn to do good. So it might not just be enough to say, I'm just there, I don't steal, I don't commit adultery, I don't kill, and that is enough. It's not enough. What have we done for love's sake? What have we done for the other people or for the society? So that is what Jesus is telling us in the gospel today. Let us know the spirit behind our obedience of the commandments of God. And as the first reading stated, God's laws or God's will is not forced down on us. But of course, just like human laws and rules, if we do not obey them, there are consequences. Just like there are rewards for obeying and doing the will of God. So let us pray for the grace and the courage to understand the teachings of Jesus, that we will be filled with love of God and neighbor, so that we will be able to live as true children of God that He loves.